This week on HomeKit News, Omnia SmartBlinds with HomeKit and Thread. So today we're looking at arguably one of the most anticipated products so far, the world's first smart HomeKit blinds to use Thread technology. Now, as you can see by the packaging, I'm going to be covering a rather large window, so large in fact that it requires two separate sets of blinds. There's no retail packaging to worry about, so we can dispense with the box immediately. Oops. We have two sets of blinds custom made to my size requirements, as well as my chosen material. Aside from the blinds, there's a bag with some hardware which we'll look at shortly, but that's about it. Even though I'm not very DIY minded, I can assure you these are actually quite easy to set up if you have the right tools. So onto the parts. As always, feel free to jump to the chapters in the timeline that interest you, but first of all we have a setup guide. Now this manual doesn't explain how to fix them to your window frame, wall or ceiling, as even though it's easy to fit these blinds, you may have different requirements to other users. This manual only explains the setup procedure once fitted. I will show you my setup later in the video though, if that helps. This manual does come in a selection of European languages. As I've got two sets of blinds to fit, I basically have two of everything needed, including the USB cable for charging the batteries. The cable itself is 3 meters long, which is quite handy in my case, and you'll be happy to know the blinds use USB-C for their charging connection. Onto the remaining parts, but don't worry as they aren't as daunting as they might at first appear. The first and most important parts are the wall brackets, of course, which attach to the wall or ceiling. Along with these are bracket covers to hide the mounting screws. One side of the blinds has a separate bracket connector, with the other end housing the motor. And for both ends of the blinds there are end caps to make it all look nice. Finally, as already seen, the USB-C cable for charging the internal batteries. Here's a quick demonstration of how the parts all fit together to show you how easy it all is. Once you've fitted the brackets to the wall, the bracket covers simply clip onto the wall brackets like so. The end of the blinds have a clip mechanism that connects to the wall bracket, holding the blinds in place, with only the end caps remaining to be placed on top. In my case, the parts are all in black to match the blinds, but you can get them in white or grey as well. These colour options also include the tassels for the attached pull cord, which quite ingeniously contain the HomeKit QR code, making it easy for you to scan when the time comes. Once you've finished with the code, you can just recess it back into the tassel. I'd still recommend backing up your codes, however. The smart part of the blinds is centered around the battery, where most of the connections also take place. You have a USB-C port for charging and initially setting up the blinds, which I'll demonstrate later, the tassel for manual control, a program button for resetting the blinds, and an LED indicator for showing the status of the blinds. I'm not going to show you the full installation procedure, but you can see here I've fitted one of the brackets to the wall, which once secure allows me to fit the bracket cover. Note I'm using a cross-line laser device here to keep everything lined up. The motor end of the blinds we saw earlier clips into place on the other bracket, which then just leaves me to fit the end caps. You can also see here I've now fitted both blinds. Onto the software side of the installation procedure, and to get the blinds into setup mode you simply need to plug the USB cable into the USB port when the LED will start flashing in green. In the Eve app you select Add Accessory, and just with any HomeKit device you scan the code to begin the pairing process. This also includes adding it to a room and naming it as standard. You next have to calibrate the blinds so that it knows that you've actually installed them. It then goes on to ask which way around the blinds are, as well as the rotational direction and the pull cord position. Once all that is confirmed, you simply need to set the top and bottom limits for the blinds. This is a necessary step, as without setting up these two limits, you won't be able to use these in HomeKit, as you'll simply be faced with tiles that state setup needed. With the blinds installed, they're ready for use, but the Eve app also offers the option to save the HomeKit code in the HomePass app if installed, which I thoroughly recommend. Jumping into the Home app, you can see tiles for both blinds. A long press opens up the slider control as well as the settings panel. The settings panel reveals a few details like battery levels, charging status, etc. So I guess it's time to see the blinds in action, and as demonstrated here, the drop for the blinds is approximately 104 centimeters or just under 41 inches. I thought it'd be a good idea to measure the speed of the blinds and compare them to the speed of two blind controllers I've previously reviewed, namely the Soma Smart Shades 2 and the Aqara Roller Shade Driver E1. Unsurprisingly, the Omnia do pretty well, although it would be fair to point out that these other two products are retrofit devices that work with your existing blinds, so it's not a direct comparison as such. If you want to manually control the blinds, you simply have to tug gently on the attached tassel. This allows for open and closed positions, as well as a favourite position if set up. One nice little touch is the way the blinds slowly come to a halt when approaching the upper or lower limit. It's a small but thoughtful little extra. In terms of extras, the Eve app is the place to go. A short tap will open or close the blinds, or if you long press on the tiles, you get access to the open and close controls as well as extra options. These options include a separate slider to adjust the position of the blinds, but also give you a set of logs to see when and how many times the blinds were operated. If I open the log section, you can see these logs are broken down into months and dates, with each date revealing the amount of entries. Pretty detailed stuff. Along with this is a schedule section that allows you to create schedules to open and close the blinds. These can be based on the time of day or even based on local sunrise and sunset times, so the blinds will always open at the right time. These schedules are stored on the device, so they'll always work regardless of the state of your HomeKit setup. To show that these blinds definitely use Thread, if we go into the settings section and select Thread Network, you can see the blinds are listed alongside a Thread enabled Eve Energy smart plug labelled here as a fan and 3 HomePod minis. On to one final test, and it relates to noise, so I'll shut up. Omnia sent a selection of samples for some of the materials they offer. Of these 27 samples, the first 9 you'll see are blackout blinds designed to not let any light through, with the remaining 18 samples being what are referred to as transparent or see-through blinds. Now, we tend to like the light coming through the window and are on the top floor, so there are no privacy issues. However, in the summer the sun can hit these windows for most of the day and can be quite intense. So the blinds I chose will hopefully help to reduce this effect. Finally, to our pros and cons section, and hand on heart, I really don't have any cons to report at this time that I can see manifesting themselves anytime soon. So what are the pros? Well, I guess the first one is Thread, which, whilst a new protocol and has some proving to do, is on paper a revolutionary approach to the smart home. Now, these blinds last up to a year between charges, and with a 300 cycle battery life, these will outlive all of us. The blinds are really simple to install as long as you have a hand and the right tools, including the laser tool that I saw earlier, which I do recommend. And of course, custom blinds are never cheap, but when compared to the likes of IKEA, for example, you don't need a hub and you get the materials and size you want, which IKEA simply doesn't offer. Going back to Thread, and as they use this protocol, it'll be ready for when the new smart home standard known as Matter arrives sometime this year, which should mean that these blinds will also work with other smart home platforms aside from HomeKit. Now, the materials offered, the well-crafted parts and overall build quality are what set these blinds apart from many other brands. And if you want to know more about the quality of the materials used, head over to the company's website to learn more about why they're one of the world leaders in eco-conscious manufacturing. That's our overview of the Omnia Smart Blinds, but click the link in the corner to check out our full written review. And until the next time, stay safe and feed your pet.